an alcoholic's European tour. It was my European tour. And then my life fell to bits. Sounds great, doesn't it? A European tour. The story goes, I was sober completely from 2006 to 2014. A full 8 years, feeling really good. I used to go to the local Marriott hotel twice a day for a bit of fitness, sauna, steam room, really relax, and life was good. I was single, had plenty of money, and I was having a great life as a single man after a rather problematic divorce. However, that's besides the point. So I'm sitting in the jacuzzi one night, and I said to this guy, I'm going to make this a little bit more, not fun, but put a positive spin on it, about a very, well, it's a dangerous subject in a way, relapse. So I was sitting in the jacuzzi one night, I said to this guy, became a good friend actually, I said, do you know what, this is the best I've felt for years in my life. You know, so I'm getting well with my parents both still alive, I've got my daughter's doing well, I'm doing well, I've bought another property to rent out, everything was going really, really, really well, you know. I'm fit, just been on holiday at Mallorca on my own, I've done a bit more travelling. He said, oh, Steve, he said, something's going to happen to you. He said, someone is going to walk into your life and spoil everything. 2014. I said, no, I'm fine. I'm fine on my own. I'll be fine. Anyway, about 6 months later, exactly what he told me happened. And this woman, I was really, really worried about telling her I had an alcohol problem, and I didn't tell her. So I drank just a tiny bit. I'm talking about like 1 can every week. But it didn't start me off with anything. I felt all right. I could handle 1 can. I thought I could. Then she came up with this wild idea. I hadn't known her very long. I fancy going to tour Europe for 6 months in a camper van. And I'm up for anything, me. So I said, yeah, why not? I just thought it was a stupid idea. Like, not a stupid idea, a fanciful idea. It was never going to happen. 3 days later, we're in the south coast of England with a briefcase full of cash to buy a camper van. So near Southampton. Brought this camper van back, I had to drive it back obviously, got the train down there. Drove it back, and I've been in the M25 many times before, but if you're not used to motorways and stuff, it's a bit of a harrowing road. Got back to the northeast, and then to look at it, I thought, it's a bit like the camper van in the thumbnail. It was a huge thing. It was a bit like those, you know, those supermarket delivery vehicles. They're expensive, these things, but they're very difficult to drive. However, I thought, well, I was going to stop drinking completely now if we're going to be driving around Europe. So a couple of days later, we set off. I took a dog, actually. The dog had to get a dog passport. The dog was called Lucy, Cocker Spaniel, but a bit older, wasn't wild. Turned out quite useful to me in the end, however. I keep watching to find out what happened with the dog. So we headed off down to the south of France. Took days to get there. I wasn't drinking at all. She had the odd glass of wine. Eventually, after a stressful few days, got to Saint-Tropez, south of France. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's very, very expensive. It was €100 10 years ago just for a pitch. And I was so knackered after the drive and all the, you know, the rest of it. And I thought, we'll get this camper van level, and I'm going to have a few drinks. That was my reward, you know. So I said, well, let's stay here for at least a month. I just wanted to be somewhere settled after all the driving around and whatnot. Okay, we did that. Paid this massive fee, and I went down to the camp shop, got a few bottles of beer, and then we went into Saint-Tropez Centre, about a couple of miles away, had a few drinks by the harbour. It was so expensive. It was €8 for a tiny little bottle of beer. But I thought, well, the supermarket's not too bad. After a couple of days, I thought, I've got control of this. As time went on, I was starting to feel a bit groggy in the morning. This is my problem with relapse. Just one will start you off, 1 or 2 will start you off. After about week 3, I was at the camp shop every morning. Because we took bikes with us, getting bottles of beer. And I used to take the dog for walks all over the place. Obviously to go to bars and stuff. I remember going to one bar, at 8:30 in the morning with the dog, and they were just cleaning it. I still must have got a bottle of beer. They weren't even open really, but they served me. And that's how it started, my relapse again. So we're stuck in the middle of Europe now. She still wasn't aware that I had a massive drinking problem. But we went to these hypermarkets, and she would put a couple of bottles of wine in, and I used to put loads of beer in. I thought she must have some idea. But I was never like a class of stupid drunk, just a drunk that was pretty mellow, to be fair. So after 4 weeks, I said, right, let's go to, we planned a route through Italy, up to Lake Garda. So we got on the motorway. I said, I don't feel very well. These motorways are too fast. I said, I don't mind the more difficult roads, the mountain passes and that, because at least it's not a motorway. I was really nervous on motorways for some reason. I wasn't drinking and driving, I just was drinking at night at that point. So she would do the motorway driving, then I would do the quiet roads, which probably took a lot more time than it should have done really. Got to Lake Garda, by this time sort of week 5, week 6, but I remember we planned to go for 6 months. And the alcohol was just catching up with me. I started to notice that I was going off a little bit more, taking this dog for so-called walks for 2 or 3 hours at a time, and I was drinking more and more and more. Then I sort of pulled myself together a little bit. I knew I was back into full-time drinking by this point. Went through Germany, and I said, I'm going to have to stay here for a couple of weeks. I can't move this camper van. Why not? I said, I don't feel well. She must have twigged by then that it was the alcohol, because we were going to the shops, and there was like 3 bottles of wine and 500 bottles of beer. Very little to eat. I used to do like a barbecue, but not have very much to eat. I was just drinking all the time. Anyway, to cut the holiday short, I think I went up to Amsterdam after that. Stayed there for a couple of nights, and the whole thing ended up in a complete disaster. Nearly crashed the camper van a couple of times, just through various incidents that happened. You need to be on the ball when you're driving in Europe. And what it basically took me back to, the whole of that time, and the whole of just having one drink at the start, took me right back 8 years. So eventually we got back in one piece, luckily. After being in Europe and dodging all sorts of bullets, somebody tried to steal the bike, somebody tried to steal the camper van, got involved with the police. The dog had more walks than we ever had dinners really, with different bars. I was taking the dog in. It was total madness in the end. If you're an alcoholic, your life's total madness, total chaos. So I got back to the UK. The relationship didn't last very long. She took me to see the doctor, and I think I've done a video on this in the past. The doctor refused to give me any medication, any diazepam, which I had before. I started to panic. I self-medicated for a few years, and then in 2019, was hospitalised and nearly lost my life. So 8 years off was fantastic. That one drink that I had to prove to this person that I wasn't an alcoholic nearly cost me my life. You can't have the first drink, it will kill you. And you can't enjoy your life. I did a video the night about holidays abroad. This was a whole tour. It should have been a once in a lifetime trip, around Europe in this camper van. It ended up in total disaster. Everything that I've done wrong, every bad decision I've made, everything that's just gone totally the wrong way, should we say, for want of a better expression, has all been drink related. And once you get off the drink, you'll have more clarity. Everything will seem easier. You will have problems in life. Everyone's got problems, but you can deal with them. You don't be hiding things. You won't be feeling nervous. I can drive on motorways for 12 hours a day now without batting an eyelid. I don't have any issues with flying, driving, trains, hotels, anything now, because I'm sober. I'm very confident again. It takes everything away from your confidence, your well-being, your money, your emotional stability, your family, your health, and your mind. And eventually it'll put you in a wooden box. So be mindful of this. And if you've got any questions, drop me a line. Please subscribe if you benefit from these videos. I've got an ebook out as well. It's only $5.99. It's only the price of a pint. If you want to have a look at that, it's quite a comprehensive guide on, my story really, getting sober and staying sober. And I'll speak to you all very soon.